Star Wars, like Zelda, I think the most important aspect of this game is the story. I think the story was done very well. This is the first MMO to feature fully voiced cast, dialogue options, cutscenes, all that good stuff in an MMO. So, I'll start with that first because I think that's the strongest aspect of the game, and that's really something new if you're tired of MMOs, that what it'll bring to the genre. So, first off, if you played any other BioWare game, it's kind of the same as that type of thing, like a Mass Effect or a Dragon Age, where, you pick a main character and then you go on, you have a starting area and you get different quests and so forth, and you have different dialogue options based on, your different moral choices. So, I played the Jedi class, basically, and, their basic premise was, if you do the, the dark side or, the light side, basically, that type of, that type of moral dilemma. The only problem with that, of course, was that, the only consequences between the two were basically in terms of what type of gear you could equip. So if you picked a dark side over a light side, you just won't be able to equip that certain type of gear.
Which side were you, by the way?
I tried to stay on the light side. Yeah. I've heard that playing on the dark side is a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, it's also everyone's dream to be dark side.
Dark side. No, not me. I mean, I want to be a Jedi. So
really?
I always
wanted to be like Darth Maul, bro. I wanted, like, seriously, the dark side's the way to be.
And I've heard that aspect. But either way, I mean, even if the dark side is better, I think the story is good for what I've seen for all the classes. So that's not really a complaint. Me, it's more that the binary aspect of it, where it's only tied really not to the consequences, but more to what type of gear you're gonna equip. Because then you get to a point where it's you do have the option, but does the options really mean anything? Because it's like, oh, I'll just pick this because I want to get this certain type of gear. And in an MMO, a lot of the times that's what comes down to. It's like you're playing this game to level up, to grind, to get better gear, so you're better than your friends, so you can go on raids and so forth. So on that note, let's talk about what really didn't change in this type of game, which was it's an MMO, just like WoW and all the others. There really didn't change anything to that format, and that's really my biggest complaint with the game is that you have this cooldown hotkey system where you're pressing the buttons between for different skills, and you're just clicking on them. You're waiting for it to cool down. Click the next one, and rinse and repeat, and then walk around these huge areas to kill 5 of this, collect that. It's just the same old crap that I'm so sick of. That's really what brought the game down for me, and it will be really hard to bring me back to the game. I mean, the only thing that I would want to do is like see how my story progresses. Really, I mean, that aspect of the game, which is the actual gameplay of the game, is not compelling at all. I'm more of a type. I like a game where you have force feedback, you have a controller, you have light, heavy attacks, you have different skills. I'm not a keyboard and mouse number pad clicking macro person. It just doesn't do it for me, and that's really what the main problem with the game. But besides that, they did bring some nice features to the game that did make that combat a little bit better. One of them is your companion system, which I really liked, and they always do that in BioWare games, and I hope they continue to focus on their strong aspects, which are the story aspects and their companion, because those are some of the best parts of any BioWare game. And the great thing about the companions in Old Republic was that you could basically level up that character. When he levels with you, you can put different gear on them. You can forge different weapons. Like you forge lightsabers for them. You forge lightsabers for yourself. They can sell all your crap to the merchant and go off. They can go off on separate missions by themselves and get stuff for you. Like, they can do a lot. And also they can fill different roles. So, in your standard MMO, you have different classes. So you'll have your DPS class, your healer, your tank. You could use that, companion if you're going on a raid, and use that to fill one of those classes. Because, that's a major drawback to playing these type of MMOs is that, the social aspect of getting into a guild or getting into a group, finding the right classes.
So the group thing, how's that? Like this game, like
the group thing is done very well.
Quests, side quests, stuff like that. You do.
The basic group content. You can do. You can share any quest in the game. But the only thing is, if you're doing your story quest, they're instanced out. So what that means is you'll go up to like a little green force field type of thing, and you'll go in, and you'll only progress for a Jedi Knight, one Jedi Knight at a time. You can have like another Jedi Knight or another character come in, but if they're on that same quest, they won't progress, or if they're ahead of you, they won't progress, or behind you, and so forth. So, that's the one aspect of, if you're doing that, which is good, because you don't want someone coming in and messing up your story.
Yeah.
But as far, and I kind of understand why they went with that, because then they have these separate missions called the flashpoints, which are basically like your mini raids. So it's like a 4 group raid, and basically you go on these different quests, and then you have certain dialogue options that either one of your party members can respond to, and it's basically just like a separate dice roll that it does. So if you react to this, it rolls whoever dice. So that's the decision. That's basically they go with. So as far as that, it's the same exact thing. It's good because you can if you don't have 4 people in your group, one person can use their companion, or you can just go on 2 people and 2 people use each one of their companions and fill the different roles. So that's what I really liked about it, because you never felt like you were missing a member of the group, and you could always complete the mission as long as you had the right role to fit.
Now, there's one question. I mean, a lot of MMOs, the one thing that they have a problem with, there's so many people, it's hard to, there's glitches. Now, I want to go over this one glitch in case you guys did not see the video.
Yeah.
One of the videos that I just, Drew did it, and he posted it up, and I was looking at this video, and I looked at, in the background, I see like a miniature Jedi, literally a mini Jedi walking in the back of the screen, okay? And like a Jedi looks like a couple inches tall compared to everyone other giants and stuff. And I'm looking at him like, wait, is that supposed to be like that? Is that part of the story? And I called him up. He didn't even know this. And
and I looked at it and I saw it. And then I read up online about it. And this has happened to other people. I mean, this is nothing new.
There's glitches.
And there's definitely glitches in this game, just like MMO.
Yeah.
But I put that to the side because really I've played a lot of MMOs. Not a lot. But, I played my good share of them, and this has been the best launch for an MMO I've ever had. Because I've been in where I've played like WoW and these other games, and you have to sit in these queues for a long time. I've heard some people had that on the West Coast, but not on the East Coast. Like it had a smooth launch. Like you got to play the game before it came out. And that launch was fine. When the game actually did launch, that was fine. I had no problems. I really worried about doing a walkthrough for MMO because what if I get stuck in a queue or I get booted out or anything like that. I didn't really have that many problems, I mean, if a cutscene, a little Jedi pops up once in a while.
I just saw this one. That was hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
It was part of the story, though. That was the funniest part. It wasn't even like you just saw it.
It wasn't like a side quest. Like, that's something they should have riddled out.
But I mean, with MMOs, like it's hard to clean out certain things. They did a good job overall from what I saw from the game. And I know you're the expert in that stuff. That's more the style of games that you play. So. But you thought it's still a good game, right? So
I still think it's a good game. I definitely think for the initial $60, you're getting your money's worth. Right. It's just I think in terms of what kind of schedule you have. That's really what these games. It kills me to play them because it's really a long game. I mean, to get up to level 50, it's gonna take you at least 72 hours or so.
I mean,
100
there
hours.
are other people I was watching. Other people say they know certain spots for experience points. There's experience hidden throughout. You could go grab something, you get experience points. Those stuff, they're hard to reach, but if you go places you're not really supposed to be, and there's hidden spots, there's more experience points that you can grab. So I mean, it's really about how adventurous are you? Are you going to take a chance and go places that you're not supposed to go? But
I think when it comes down to it, it's just the way the business model is for these games. I mean, I hate to put it like that, but it's so true. They space these games out so much. You could easily have a quick travel system to go between these places, but they space everything out. Put stuff a certain way. That way you come back to it every month, and and then you have your end game content, which is where they really try to get you. Where you have the social aspect where you're going on raids to get different gear and stuff like that. And then they, of course, they're real scandalous when they know the day that everyone was gonna the recurring for your credit card was going to end.
So
your 30 days were up, so they put new content.
They
had new content coming out that day. So they know what they're doing. I think as far as the MMO launch, they picked the best time for it to come out, and they had a successful launch. You know, I think they got maybe 2 million, I think, in terms of sales, and they kept about 1.7 or something like that. So made like 300,000 they lost, and I think that's pretty good. You know, that's not that bad of a turnover rate. So I think they'll be fine. I mean, the big question now is, they're not going to obviously compete with WoW, but are they going to go free to play, or what's in store for this game? You know, that's what really
we gotta see. It's gonna be only future can tell.
Yeah, because it really seems like that market. Unless you're WoW, it's a free to play market and supported by microtransactions. And I think that's really how these games should be formatted. I don't think you buy it originally for $60 and then you play it as much as you can, and then you move on to the next game. That's not a sustainable model for these type of games. You want to have free to play with microtransactions. And and continue to build your audience. It worked for DC Universe. I tried that out, and I noticed when I wasn't paying money for this game, I enjoyed it a lot more. And I mean, really, that's what happens. It's like you're sitting there clicking buttons. It's like I'm really paying $15 to click buttons for 20 hours a month. Like, this is not worth my money. And I think that's the problem with these games. I would love to see them do an MMO with more action content. I don't know how they're gonna do it,
that's a lot of memory. That's a lot of memory, a lot of servers.
DC Universe, I think, came the closest to trying to achieve that because you could play with a controller and so forth. It still kind of had the thing where you attacked and it would hit the person, but it felt more action-like because you had a controller and you had feedback and stuff like that. The whole entire hitting buttons, that's got to go. I'm pretty sure Blizzard's looking at that and saying, we can do a different type of RPG than this type of combat system. But that's really how I felt about the game. There's a lot of content. I'll at least try it out. But at this point, there's so many games coming out. If you missed the initial 2 months to play it, I'll hold off until maybe summer or so forth, because there's a lot of good games coming out. So on that note, you've been doing Soul Calibur.
Soul Calibur, yes.
We did a walkthrough. We played each other. I spanked you. So
yeah. Let's talk about that spanking real quick. All right. See, I like to play games and learn the buttons. Learn a little bit there, and I actually try to learn the moves and try to do stuff like that. Obviously, I didn't learn how to block too well because I've played Soul Calibur since PlayStation. Not even PlayStation 2, PlayStation. You know what I mean? So I'm over here doing moves. This guy, button mashing, boom, same move, boom, same move, and he kicked my ass. So right there, right off the bat, this game takes time for you to learn. Because once you learn the buttons and stuff like that, you know how to block and how to counter someone's attack, which I learned how to do now. Now I know how to do, there's buttons, like for someone like him that does that, they have something, it's not a block, it's a attack guard. So I do something, the minute you do this and I press it the same time you do, which is pretty easy to do when he's pressing the same speed, then I counter what you do. And once you counter, it stuns the opponent. And then I could do the moves that I know how to do. Now, I was not aware